Welcome to the UK University's presentation recap. In the presentation, we covered many things. We started off with thinking about the types of UK universities and the model of education. We had some statistics about UK applications, where students should begin their search, the application process itself, a little bit on the hot topic of Brexit, the costs and fees, admissions factors, and the next steps. There are several types of institutions in the UK, and they have been started off with when they were formed, and the latest ones were identified as universities in 2005. The thing to note with UK universities is that they are all state funded, and so they're all accredited. There are only 2 private universities in the United Kingdom, and you can be guaranteed of a good education wherever you go. The UK model of education runs like our academic year from September to May or June. You get a Bachelor's of Art or a Bachelor of Science. The key distinction is that you have to specialise in the UK, so students choose a course to begin with. You can also apply for professional courses in the United Kingdom, such as law, medicine, architecture, as a first degree. There are opportunities for joint degree programs, there are flexible honours programs, and now a few more universities are thinking about adding liberal arts programs to their mix. 92 out of 170 students from the class of 2016 applied to the United Kingdom. 31 of those 92 enrolled at a university in the UK. Most applications for the class of 2016. And this slide was just as a fun fact. Where do students begin their search for UK universities? Well, the thing is that you start off by thinking about the course you want to study. You have to choose a course first, and how do you think about a course is to think about what it is that you love to do. UCAS.com is a site that students should become familiar with. This is what they will use to apply, but it is also a search engine where students can search courses by category or listed alphabetically as well. Once they have an idea of what course they're interested in, they can do a UCAS search to find out which universities offer that course. So students will type in, like I did here, a course name. I chose art, and I find that there are several universities that provide it. So for the sake of alphabets, I stayed with the University of Aberdeen, and when I click on that, what I find is more information. I see how they're taught, I see what kind of assessments there are, future employability options, as well as on the UCAS website itself, the entry requirements that are needed for me to be able to apply. So because it's credential driven, I get an indication of where I need to be in order to be a successful applicant at this university. Once students have chosen their course, they can then decide how they choose a university. And there are many, many different criteria that students will have, and these are just some of the ones that we think that they might consider. We often get asked what makes a good university, and students come up with many different examples, as do parents. And what we would say in the end, what we found from all of our students, is that the best university is the one which is right for you, the place which will give you the education and environment you want, and at which you will be happy. Now, there's so many things to choose from, and because this is course specific and parents do ask about rankings, what we ask you to look at if you are going to look at rankings for the United Kingdom is the Guardian League table, because it is based on, the rankings are based on the course. Once you've chosen your course, like I have here, Geography and Environmental Studies, you see a list of the universities that are in the top 18, and all universities are categorized with satisfied with the course, with the teaching, with feedback, staff-student ratio, spend the money spent per student, the entry tariff, and the value added, as well as career after 6 months. So this could be a good place for students to begin their search and then base it on their entry requirements. Now about fees and Brexit. So as far as we know, for this current grade 12, EU citizens will still be assessed as home EU, and universities have given us the nod that they believe that for grade 11 students who enroll at university in the next few years, they will also be assessed as home EU. They give us an indication that they think it'll take about 4 years for the UK to finally leave the EU. But what you should look at is universitiesuk.ac.uk for more information. There are many factors of cost to consider. First of all is the biggest tuition cost, then the big one of accommodation as well. Your fee status will change your tuition cost. UKCISA gives guidelines on who can be seen as a UK citizen and who can be seen as an international student. And some form of award may be given in bursaries, but that is just very nominal and it is not really hefty for helping to pay for tuition fees, and scholarships are very limited and students will have to do research on finding those scholarships. We did some Google searching and we found out the costs for universities depending on different courses, and this is all information that is available, so you can also do the Google search. As you can see, it costs a lot more for international students than it does for UK students or home EU students. Please be aware of what it means in terms for Scotland then. English, Welsh, and Northern Irish students pay what you would pay if you went to study in England, Wales, or Northern Ireland, whereas EU citizens pay what Scottish students pay, and that is because of Scotland's special relationship with the European Union. But please, all of this information is available online, and do your research in terms of how much it would cost to attend tuition fees, and then you have to add up the other costs. Once you know what it costs, what does it take to get in? There are some things to consider. The two main criteria for you to think about are demonstrated academic performance as well as your personal qualities. As a credential-driven system, demonstrated academic performance begins with GCSE grades, then anticipated grades, as well as your final IB grades. And sometimes there is a need to prove English proficiency as well. So once students have their anticipated grades, they can start thinking about which universities are well within their range. Another thing students have to do is demonstrate interest as well as demonstrate aptitude for the course, because you're trying to convince an admissions officer that you really do want to study this for the next 3 years. So your personal statement will be one where we help you work through as well, where you demonstrate your interest in this course. Your extended essay could be related to your topic of choice, or if not, there are many research skills that we can help add into the mix for your personal statement. And if you can, and especially if you want to study medicine, vet science, law, or architecture, any of the professional degrees, teaching included, you must get some work experience, and that will be added to your personal statement. Your personal qualities are something that we as university advisors put together with the help of your subject teachers, your activity supervisors, and your mentor. Testing. You will be pleased to know, I hope, that testing is generally in grade 12 and only course or university specific. So if students are interested in law, in medicine or applying to Oxford or Cambridge, there will be a specific test that they have to undertake. And again, all in grade 12. Students and parents are responsible for registering for this test on their own. How do you apply? UCAS.com is the center point of all applications as well as research. There are two parts to an application. The first part is something that a student fills in, and the second part is stuff that the school does. So student fills in their student details, their choices, their academic history, including IGCSE or FIB grades, and their personal statement. The school puts in the school reference, verifies the IGCSE and FIB grades, as well as puts in your IB diploma anticipated grades. We ask all students to list all of their universities around the world in family connections so that we can keep a tab on where they're applying and help them with their deadlines. We get asked this a lot about what does it take to get in and what does it take to get in, especially to Oxford or Cambridge. And this is the typical Oxford-Cambridge profile. As you can see, it is very much academic criteria, and then all about passion for the subject, supercurricular activities, what you've been doing that is related to the subject you want to study, as well as demonstrated evidence of extension beyond the curriculum. Read, 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 read. Take online courses, summer courses, personal projects. But the first things first is you have to make the entry requirements, if not exceed them, in order to be considered. Typical offers at different universities, as you can see, are the same for EU citizens as they are for international students, except when it comes to Scottish universities, where we have found that typically home EU students are asked for a higher conditional offer than international students are. Things to consider while you are applying to the UK are that international students are at an advantage in the UK. For Oxford and Cambridge, you really have to demonstrate authentic passion. Your grades matter, your testing matter. Read, read, read. Consider a two-step approach to professional degrees. If you are unsuccessful in a professional degree like law or medicine to begin with, you may want to consider going to university for an undergraduate and then looking at graduate entry programs. And a lot of our students like to apply to universities only in London. I would ask you to consider universities outside of London as well. As we have an application limit worldwide for your lifetime, we ask you to research well, visit universities, network, come to our university presentations, find out more. We will also have UniQuest, which your students will be able to demonstrate their research on universities there. Our application limit is 10 applications worldwide, but what you should note is UCAS, the 5 options of UCAS count as one application. Once you've applied, there's some decision making to be had. And what will happen first is students are made a conditional offer. Once they've got all of their conditional offers in from their 5 choices, they can only pick 2 out of the 5. One is a firm, the other is their insurance. If a student is unsuccessful in getting offers from any of the 5 universities, then UCAS gives them an option of an extra, and students can then apply to a 6th option. Adjustment happens after IB results are out and students have done better than is anticipated. UCAS opens up criteria for them as well. Clearing is if a student has not made their firm and insurance offer, then students can see through UCAS what courses might be available through them. And advocacy. University advisors are available over the summer break to help students who have not made their conditional offers, and we are their advocates for that. Deadlines for you to consider are all really later on in grade 12. So the first major deadline is August for a personal statement to be handed in. But please note, we do lots of scaffolding before this actually happens. And then the completion of applications and the testing, which students and parents register for if needed, and interviews, if they happen in October all the way up to January or February. What are the next steps? Like we said, many things for students to do, research being one of them. And we ask that students attend university visits, and they will be invited to a meeting with their university advisor in January of 2017. They'll draft their personal statement as well. So many, many, many things for them to think about. And again, lots will happen between now and students applying. So please, please, please know that we are helping your students through this process. Thank you.